Turks. I'm your host, Cenk. We got a great show ahead for you guys. First of all, obviously we have a number of changes. We are coming to you live at 9 p.m. Eastern. Calm down. All right. Now, it's a new schedule. Everybody's all excited. You're at a 10. You got to be at a 2. But more important than a new schedule, I know the fact that there's no loop is throwing people for a loop. Ironic. I didn't even see that coming. All right. Anyways, okay, look, we're making some changes on the website. It's not final, although in the final version there also won't be a loop. So sign up for membership. No, listen, there's a lot of thinking that went into it. Doesn't mean it was the right thinking. And we are still, of course, taking your input. But we're trying to update the website a little bit at a time. As I said, it's not the final product, but we appreciate you sticking with us no matter what. But here we are live. And, of course, for all the members, you'll be able to podcast this just like you always do. Okay, now, big show ahead for you guys. It's tax day. I have awesome, amazing facts about taxes. Who doesn't want a show about taxes? That's number one. Number two, Trump. Clownorama's back at it, going crazy. Okay, and he attacked a Republican, the Republicans attacking him. Everybody's having fun. Okay. Number three, in the second hour, the Japanese have done it. Now we've got a sex robot that is pretty good. I mean, I haven't tested it out, and it's not technically for sex, but let's keep it real. That's in the second hour. It's going to be interesting. Okay, we'll show you the final product. Okay, now, for this hour, as I told you, I've got all those big stories, but I'd like to start with two random things first. And you know what? In just a second, I'm going to do a whole number of stories on how right I am. So everybody, I know you love that. I know. But they're very, very important. One of them got me really pissed. The other one is actually good news. Okay, so that's coming up in just a minute. But first, just smallest quick personal note. I'm walking here in New York, and there's an Applebee's nearby. And there's people from out of town. And there's this enormous line in front of it. I'm begging you, if you're coming to New York, don't go to Applebee's. Okay, there ain't nothing wrong with Applebee's. Guess who ate breakfast at Applebee's this morning? Guilty. Okay, and it was a lovely breakfast. I had no problem with it whatsoever. But you're in from out of town to New York. There's an Applebee's in your town. This is New York. Please go try something new and different. But maybe that's because I'm a lib and I'm tolerant and open-minded to new things. But come on. I saw him there. I'm like, no, don't wait on that line. All right. Anyway, dude, go grab a hot dog from the street, man. That's a 10 times better New York experience. All right. Random. Okay, so that's random, but are you ready for more random? By the way, I also have a new suit today. God, there's a lot of new things going on in the show. All right. By the way, JR, here's another random little note. I can somewhat hear you guys, so your Polycom might be open on your side. By the way, can I just say before I go on to this really awesome story, that's why I'm going to start with it, that Polycom has been a lifesaver. Just a little side note here. If it wasn't for Polycom right now, this is Sky. I'm coming to you from Sky. Okay, so now look, it might not be perfect all the time, but man, we couldn't have done the show without it from New York. Oh, and by the way, there's now all this like hubbub and buzz. Who's going to New York? Who's going to staying in LA? What's going on? There's drama at TYT. Just please calm down for a second, okay? And people are like, who's getting thrown under the bus? Who's getting thrown out? Is Jared going to get thrown under a bus? Is he going to stay in LA? Is he gone? Just tend to. Everybody tend to, okay? Everybody's going to be fine. Noah's going under a bus. We're TYT, okay? Now, Gawker has a fascinating story about Roger Ailes. This is interesting. Now, Roger Ailes, of course, is the man who runs Fox News Channel. Former Nixon worker, and he was a messaging man for Nixon and other Republicans. Top-notch one at that. You got to give him credit. And he's done wonders with Fox News Channel in terms of getting them viewers, ratings, money, etc. Credit where credit is due, and in terms of influencing the national conversation, no question about it. But he thinks in his retirement that he's going to retire to basically upstate New York, where he's going to run a couple of small papers. That's a fascinating decision. It's kind of quaint in a way. I kind of like it. He's bought two papers, Putnam County News and Recorder and the Putnam County Courier. Okay, one was in '08, another one was last year. But But then something really strange happened, according to Gawker's reporting. First of all, he hired a 27-year-old, what I would call a kid, but who cares? You know, he's young, energetic, good, fine, up-and-comer, worked at the Weekly Standard, very conservative, of course, the Weekly Standard is, and he's described as combative. His name is Joe Lindsley, and he wanted him to run the first paper that he bought, the County News and Recorder, right? So everything's going fine, and he's, grooming him for that. But people started getting curious. And according to this story, all of a sudden, people started noticing that Roger Ailes knew things about what they did that he couldn't have possibly known. So, for example, one day they went to lunch and apparently were bad-mouthing Roger Ailes and his wife, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was actually the person who's supposed to run these newspapers for now, right? And they're like, how in the world did he know that, right? And then what was really scary is apparently they had driven quite a distance. They weren't in the office. They had driven quite a distance to go to another restaurant. He knew what restaurant they'd gone to. What? So they figured it out. Roger Ailes had put a tail on them. Later, after Lindsley would quit, he was supposed to, transition out, but they do a big story on him. And then all of a sudden, even in the middle of the transition, he quits because he can't take it anymore because there's something really strange going on, right? And even after he quits, he noticed a guy tailing him. And he wanders around for a while to make sure the guy's tailing him, and then turns around and he sees the guy in the car, I should say. And it's a Fox News security guy that he knew personally. He even calls him and says, "Are you tailing me?" And the guy says, "Yeah." He said, "Why are you doing that?" He's like, "Roger Ailes told me to." First of all, this is Roger Ailes' personal paper. It has nothing to do with Fox News. So why is a Fox News security guy tailing a guy who already quit the paper? But apparently, Fox News security was used to tail these guys for a decent period of time. That's how they knew about the lunch. And then they find out, and these are allegations that are in the Gawker story, you can read it for yourself as well, that Roger Ailes had been tapping them, basically, and had bugged the offices. If that's true, the guy's crazy, okay? Now, I'm going to get back to that in a second, but here's where the story gets really interesting. Apparently, people reported that the Ailes relationship with this young Joe Lindsley guy was rather strange and awkward, and that at one point, Elizabeth, the wife, joked about how he would replace Roger if Roger died. Now, I saw that early on in the story. I said, wait, come again. Wait, now, that's a red flag, okay? So now let me read some more on this, right? So I looked through the story, and come to find out, other people said that their relationship with that staffer was, quote, an inappropriate level of intimacy. Not interesting. Now they say no one suggested any romantic entanglement. I have no idea. Several sources familiar with the relationship say Lindsley was alternately and confusingly treated as a member of Ailes' family and a member of their household staff. Okay, fascinating. But Elizabeth would go to church sometimes with this Joe guy, right? And then she once joked, quote, "When Roger dies, you're going to have some special responsibilities around here." And everybody's thought that was really awkward. Interesting. I'm not saying anything. I'm just reporting what's in the news here, okay? So, and then, the guy quits, and he's like, what in the world is going on? And they got the guy trailing him, etc., and eventually gets into the press, as you see here, and then the Ailes say, "Oh, this is absurd." And Elizabeth Ailes puts out a statement, "These rambling allegations are untrue, and in fact, not even reality-based. The paper hoped for Joe's success in spite of his personal habits and lack of performance, which included getting the weekly editions out late and over budget for 3 months. There's a sad disconnect between his claims and undying gratitude and his current state of agitation." So obviously he's in a current state of agitation for many reasons. Now, look, then they put out a Christmas card where he thanked them, etc. And I'm not surprised by that. They had a really good relationship before, and he says, "Oh, thanks for the trip to Ireland and the nice bonus," etc., etc. And apparently that relationship soured at some point. I don't know what that relationship entails, but it's fascinating. Now, look, the reason why this is interesting is not because of the personal lives of the Ailes. That's funky and fascinating, but who cares, right? It's because this is the guy who influences our national media so much, and there's something really off-kilter about him. Look, I'm going to tell you, I had off-the-record conversations with other former Fox employees. And this is not out of the norm, okay? They have private security at Fox News that investigates folks. Whether it's people who work at Fox News, whether it's people who at one time worked for Fox News, whether it's their competitors. Fox News is a strange, strange place run by a strange, strange man. And the reason I come back to this is, look, their influence on the country, unfortunately, is so outsized. The example I always come back to is they selected George W. Bush's cousin to decide who won the 2000 election. And shockingly enough, when it was a statistical tie, he called it for George W. Bush. And next thing you know, all the rest of the media said, oh my God, Fox called it. And they all started calling it for Bush when they never should have. It was a tie. And we should have recounted Florida. They basically selected the President of the United States, and they used his cousin to do it. And this strange dude is the guy who led to that. It's a fascinating thing that has taken over our country. And this guy is not in the least bit doing news at Fox News, as we have told you a number of times. And so the fact that he has, gone and done these strange things on his own papers is both surprising in how weird it is and unsurprising at the same time. So, interesting story out of God. All right. Now, let's move on to other news. The aforementioned and promised stories of how I was right. Okay. First of all, Senator Mark Warner has come out over the weekend in talking to Bob Schieffer at Face the Nation on CBS. He said that the so-called Gang of Six may recommend changes to Social Security as part of its deficit reduction plan. All right, first of all, who's the Gang of Six? 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats. They're all senators, and they are working on a deficit reduction plan, obviously. I have said in the past that they will go after Social Security. All the Democrats say, oh, of course not. Don't be ridiculous. How dare you accuse the Democrats of doing such a thing? We are the protectors of Social Security. I said, all right, let's see what happens. Look, President Obama appointed the Deficit Commission. Deficit Commission said raise the Social Security retirement age to 69, which would be a massive cut in benefits. Now the Gang of Six comes out and has indicated that they will reform Social Security. In other words, cut Social Security. Now, here are some of the quotes of Mark Warner. Part of this is just math. 16 workers for every 1 retiree 50 years ago. 3 workers for every retiree now. See, that's a Republican talking point, and it's totally misleading. And Mark Warner should know better, probably does know better. The reason we have that imbalance now is does not catch us off guard. We knew that was coming for a long, long time. And that's why we planned for it. That's why Social Security right now has a $2.5 trillion surplus, okay? But what happened? They spent that surplus on wars, on tax cuts, etc., etc. Now they're saying, oh, we don't really want to pay it back. Remember, it's your money. You put that in your payroll taxes into Social Security through all those years. Now they're saying we robbed the piggy bank. We don't want to tell you that. We don't want to admit it, and we don't want to pay you back. So we want to cut Social Security in all these different ways and come up with excuses like, oh, what can we do? There were so many retirees or people per retiree before, but now there isn't, and so we got to cut. Nonsense. That is purposely misleading. It's a total Republican talking point from a so-called Democratic senator from Virginia. By the way, Mark Warner's the new Evan Bayh. Corporate robot all the way. Don't trust a word that comes out of Mark Warner's mouth, okay? He continues by saying, what we're doing is we're saying everything has to be on the table. Entitlement reform, dramatic spending cuts, and looking at tax reform. Later, of course, he says, well, tax reform might not really be tax increases because even though we might get rid of some deductions, we will lower the tax rates. Shocking. Look at that. The Gang of Six agrees with the Deficit Commission, where in the end, they take away deductions, which is raising taxes on the middle class, but they lower taxes for the top bracket. Look at that. The rich win. And they cut your Social Security and other entitlements like Medicare. And Democrats go along with Republicans. Republicans on the run. Their Medicare proposal, Ryan, was a disaster. The polling is hideous. Americans want no part of it. And what are the Democrats going to do? As always, they're going to give them the queen. They're going to give it to them. Now, you can again, say I'm wrong, yada, yada, yada. I'll see you at the finish line. President Obama isn't sending Mark Warner out to face the nation, isn't putting that deficit commission together and then praising it over and over again in his speech on Wednesday and then ignoring their recommendations. He's going to go along with it. And what an incredibly stupid political move. And much more importantly, an unacceptable policy move. To take that money that people have been paying all that time into Social Security and say, oh, too bad, we gave it to the rich in tax cuts. Hideous. It's hideous if a Republican does it. It's hideous if a Democrat does it. And then politically, the Republicans gave you everything you wanted. Their main base of voters are now older Americans. And they betrayed older Americans by saying they're going to basically get rid of Medicare. And what are you going to do? Now, President Obama's out across the country saying, I'm going to protect Medicare. Okay, smart politically. But then why would you agree to cuts in Medicare and Social Security? You're going to say he's not going to. All right, I'll see you at the finish line. He's going to agree to what these guys say, and they're going to give them a huge political gift, and it's going to be the worst policy decision. And if they do that, man, and they go to raise the Social Security retirement age, primary the hell out of them. Okay? I'm going to tell you in a little bit about young environmental activists who are disgruntled with Obama and they realize that they didn't get the change they bargained for. Oh boy. Look, the thing is, right now, if you look at it, Obama gave a good speech last Wednesday. He's out all across the country fighting for that right now, saying he's going to fight the Medicare proposal of the Republicans. He gave a good talk about how he's going to increase taxes. Don't believe the hype. I don't say that because I don't like Obama. We've gone over this a million times. Last time, okay? It's because I read this in the paper. I read his speech. I read the line that nobody else apparently noticed, which I quoted to you last week, where he said at the very end, after all that stuff about raising taxes on the rich, he said, oh, by the way, if we do tax reform, we can lower the rates. I was like, why did you just give it, this huge speech on raising the rates if you're going to lower the rates? How does that make sense? All right, look. JR, mark this down, okay? There is some chance, and I say only some chance because everybody else is going to think it's crazy now, right? But I'm telling you, it is entirely possible that what President Obama is going to do is going to say, oh, we can't get an agreement on the Bush tax cuts. I promise, if you re-elect me, I will get rid of the Bush tax cuts for the rich, and I will bring back them to the Clinton levels, if you re-elect me. But meanwhile, they're going to strike a deal in so-called entitlement report and deficit reduction where they get rid of the tax deductions and lower the rates. So at the end of 4 years, we will not get rid of the Bush tax cuts for the rich. Instead, we might actually lower rates for the top brackets and for corporations. For the corporations, it's not a maybe, definitely. If they do this deal, which the president is likely to endorse, in my opinion, based on my readings, they will definitely lower corporate taxes. And then they'll tell you, but if you just come a little further, you vote for me one more time, then I promise that we'll actually get some revenue out of the rich and the corporations, etc. But meanwhile, we're going to lower and lower their rates, and we're going to cut spending on you. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. All right. Now, here's another thing I was right about, I believe. This is, I guess, good news. Tim Geithner was on the weekend programs, the Treasury Secretary, of course, and he told Christiane Amanpour on This Week, quote, I want to make it perfectly clear that Congress will raise the debt ceiling. Well, that is perfectly clear because it's not just up to him, of course, it's up to the Republicans. But here's what he says about the Republicans. Quote, they recognize it, and they told the president that on Wednesday in the White House, I sat there with them, and they said, we recognize we have to do this, and we're not going to play around with it. Now, of course, the Republicans then come out and go, oh, no, of course, we're going to play around with it. Don't be ridiculous. So are they lying to Geithner, or are they lying to the public? Well, probably a little bit of both, of course, right? And of course they're lying to the public, but probably to Geithner and the president, they were seemed more conciliatory, which they sometimes is a trick that they do, and then they go out to the president and they go, oh, the sons of bitches, failed leadership. That's what they have, failed leadership, right? We want more tax cuts and we want more spending cuts, right? That's usually how they roll. Now, but here's why I was quote-unquote right about this and why it's good news. Because I'm sure that to some degree, Geithner doesn't come out and say this in public unless they had a conversation along those lines in the White House. Now, why did the Republicans, who love to have a hard line and et cetera, tell the president already that they are going to raise the debt ceiling? Because their boss is the Chamber of Commerce. They work for corporate America. And corporate America and Wall Street have told them, under no circumstances will we default on our loans, because that would hurt the banks the most, and that would hurt the rest of the corporations that actually run the Republican Party. So you think those corporations are going to allow the Republicans to default and not raise the debt ceiling? Oh, no way! So whatever that they are huffing and puffing about right now in terms of the Republicans, it's nothing but a bluff, stone cold bluff, because their masters have told them what they're going to do, which is to heal and to raise that debt ceiling. Okay, and that's exactly what you're getting out of the Geithner quote there. All right, let me take a quick break here. Actually, when we come back, I'll tell you about some of those Medicare numbers that should concern Ryan and the Republicans. And then we've got the disgruntled environmental activists, we've got the tax cuts, we've got Trump, we've got a lot. So come right back.
Welcome back to the Young Turks. Anna and Cenk with you. That song makes me want to go back to Jamaica and just lie on a lounge chair and sip on some fruity little drink with a banana in it. Not a banana, an umbrella. I don't know why I said banana. Okay, let's
I don't
move
know,
on.
maybe you got banana in the mind. I don't know. You want a banana in your drink? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Let's get off topic. That's not right. No, I meant umbrella. Okay.
We're tolerant here, man. It's okay.
All right. So this next story is highly controversial, and I'm very curious to see what Cenk's opinion is on it. It turns out that a 21-year-old man by the name of Evan Emroy from Michigan has been sentenced to 2 months in prison because of a YouTube video he created. So just to give you an idea of what the YouTube video contained, it was basically footage of him singing to a class of first graders, right? And from the video, it appears that he's singing an explicit song with sexual content to these first graders. And, it shows the first graders, laughing, covering their mouths, and responding to the lyrics, right? It turns out that when he actually created that video, he performed a completely different song that was appropriate in front of that first grade class. And then he used that footage of the kids laughing and covering their mouths or whatever in another video where he's singing a sexually explicit song. So to make a long story short, he did not actually sing that sexually explicit song to the first graders. He edited the video to make it seem that way. Now, a judge in Michigan said this is unacceptable. He took a plea bargain and he got the 2 months in prison plus 3 years probation after that, plus 200 days of community service. I mean, hefty sentence in my opinion, right? But even before that, he was actually facing charges of child pornography. But because of the plea deal, he only got 2 months in prison. Now, people are questioning whether or not this is the type of punishment he deserves, considering it was a joke video and considering the fact that he never sang that explicit song in front of students.
Okay, listen. First of all, I don't want anybody to get misled here. He's not on child porn charges for something else. They said this was the child porn. But he never sang the song in front of the kids. And second of all, if you sing a dirty song in front of the kids, that ain't child porn. I mean, what have we come to? What is this? This is madness. No, hell no. Should he go to jail? Of course not. And the parents are like, it's not enough. We wanted more.
Right.
Look, is it appropriate for him to do that? Because he didn't get the permission of the kids and the parents to put them in the video with all the explicit language. No, it was not appropriate. Bad boy, okay? If it was my kid, I guess I'd be a little pissed, right? Send him to jail? Are you crazy? No, let him go. Let him go.
Okay, so let me give you some more evidence I found. First of all, there are several news articles out there that don't really delve into the details of the video. You have to do some real digging to find it. The video's been taken off YouTube, obviously, and there are a few sources that specifically describe in detail what was in the video. So I'm going to read that to you, Cenk, and maybe this will make you change your mind. I know it made me change my mind, okay, because at first I was on board with you. So in the video, here are the lyrics and here are the reactions or the footage of the kids that he zooms in on. See how long it takes to make your panties mine. And then it zooms in on a wide shot of the children, right? I'll add some foreplay in just to make it fun. And then he goes to a close-up of a little girl laughing. Remember, these are first graders. Very explicit, I'm warning you guys. I want you to suck on my testes until I spurt in your face. And then he goes to a close-up of a little girl covering her mouth. I'll lick on your chewy, close-up of two girls covering their mouths. I mean, it's very explicit, Cenk.
No mas. No mas. I get the picture, okay? And look, you're right. Since the video was taken off of YouTube, it was you can't see it before, and I read the earlier news accounts of it, and I assumed he was joking around about sex, etc. This is incredibly explicit. I am not changing my mind. Here's the part I will change. If it was my kids, I wouldn't be a little mad. I'd be a lot mad. I get why they're mad. I don't know. Maybe you do a civil lawsuit, etc., etc. But putting somebody in jail for a song they sang when it wasn't the kids, using those kids' image without their permission, that's a serious civil issue. No question. It is not a criminal issue.
Okay, so I had this conversation with Steve, and Steve actually convinced me even further on my position on this. So go ahead, Steve. Tell Cenk what you told me about how this creates an illusion of child pornography.
Yeah, this is child pornography in the same sense that if you had like child porn that's cartoons, for example, like Japanese anime child porn, and also if I took, let's say, a picture of a child and then I photoshopped it with the child, sucking a penis, for example. Okay, that child didn't actually suck a penis, and therefore is not child porn necessarily, but it's still child pornography. And the law is it's a little mixed. I mean, there are too many little details that I don't want to get into right now, but basically it is illegal to make child pornography for two reasons. One is to protect the victim of the pornography, if in fact a child is a victim, but also people don't want child porn being created and disseminated because that might encourage more child pornography to exist or child victims to be victimized. That's the reason for it. So the question is really whether this is child porn or not. I mean, that's the real question. If you think it is, then yeah, he got what he deserved. If you think it's not a big deal, then I guess it's too harsh.
No. There's a middle ground between it's either child porn or no big deal. As I said, when Anna read the lyrics, yeah, if that was my kid and they showed a picture of that and he's saying that, I'd be pissed. I'd be significantly pissed, right? But is it child porn like they're depicting that stuff happening? No, he's not depicting it. I mean, is he I guess if guys who are into child porn, would they be into that video? I don't know. But you're making a lot of assumptions and surmising a lot of things. The reality is this kid was an idiot and he thought it was funny and it wasn't funny. And now we're going to send him to jail.
Well, that's why he got 2 months instead of 20 years, right? I mean, if he actually
he didn't get 22 months. He got 2 months.
Right, he got 2 months instead of 20 years, which is the reason why he got that lesser sentence. But I mean, if he's saying things about oral sex acts and he zooms into a child with a little girl covering her mouth, he's certainly creating that illusion. Is that illusion strongly enough created? I don't know. I mean, it's a judgment call, and I'm not ready to say, let him go, let him go. I mean, I could come out either way depending on how explicit this song went.
Yeah, and you know what? Cenk, you're saying there's a middle ground between saying it's no big deal and it's child pornography. Yeah, there is a middle ground, and I think that he is in that middle ground, and he got the correct punishment considering the fact that he is where he is. Do you see what I'm saying? So what do you think the punishment should be?
I guess that's what bothers me about the story, is that since we're really mad at him, we think the middle ground is a couple of months in jail and a lot of community service and the huge probation, etc. No, I think the middle ground is civil action, okay? You can take action against the kid, and I don't blame you at all. I mean, you've got a right to file your grievance against that guy. But I don't think the proper action is, okay, we're really pissed at the guy, so let's put him in jail for a couple of months. I just don't think it's child porn. And look, I mean, I get what Steve is saying. I get what you're saying, Anna, that you have to look at the video and make a call, a judgment call on it. Because if he went further and he was like, then I did this and this and this, and then he's showing the visual of the kids, okay, I can see how that would cross the line, right? So yeah, I get that it's a judgment call. But if you don't think that it's child porn, you can't say, well, he's a real douchebag, so as a middle ground, I sent him to jail for a couple of months. I don't think that's a middle ground.
I think this goes beyond him just being a douchebag, and I think it goes beyond parents being upset about it. I think that he definitely broke some laws. I mean, you can't talk about, later on in the video, he talks about, putting his fingers in someone's anus, and then he shows pictures of little boys covering their mouths. Like, it gets really graphic and explicit, and you got to keep in mind, this is a YouTube video. It goes on the internet. These parents had no idea that their kids were going to be depicted in this type of video, and I think that it encourages child pornography. Because do I think pervy wankers that are
Do you really think that was his intention?
No, it wasn't his intention. I'm not saying it was his intention. He was definitely an idiot, and he didn't think about
That's
what he was
what
doing.
I'm saying. I mean, the kid was an idiot. He made a stupid mistake. He should apologize to those parents who have every right to be incredibly pissed about it. And, like I said, maybe they sue him over it. But you can't, it was a dumb joke. We shouldn't send people to jail over a dumb joke.
Well, Cenk, unfortunately, people often do stupid things, and it's criminal. But Anna, tell Cenk that it's actually not child porn that he was convicted of. I mean, it was some other offense regarding inappropriate use of footage and putting it up. It was a very complicated law, but I never heard of. But
yeah, he was charged. He was charged with one count of unlawful posting of an internet message with aggravating circumstances. So he was never charged with child pornography at all. That
sounds even worse. I disagree with the decision even worse. Now, what the fuck is that? Aggravated something or other. You put a YouTube video that really aggravated people. That's a crime now?
I guess so.
Well, then we're in a lot of trouble.
No, it's not, Cenk. It's the unlawful posting of a video. I mean, if I snuck into your house and took pictures of you and your wife having sex and I posted it, that would be illegal, and that should be a criminal offense. And in this instance, that's what the judge determined.
All right.
You know what? Just last thing on this. I see what Steve is saying. I see what you're saying, and it's not that you posted an aggravated video. It's that you've taken pictures or video of someone without their permission and posted it online in a I guess, I don't know if it matters whether it's sexually suggestive or not. My point is, I'm actually, given those circumstances, believe it or not, I know this has gone a while, but being the open, tolerant man I am, I'm beginning to get a little closer to your point of view on it. Now I'd have to be on the jury, and I'm not saying let him go. I'm saying I'll have to hear the rest of the case.
So you're flip-flopping.
No,
I'm not
don't make fun of him for that.
I'm halfway there.
No, I'm just kidding, Cenk. But yes, it has gone on too long. But, basically, if I take a video of you and, basically what that guy James O'Keefe did, that should be illegal, right? Because he is taking a video of someone without their permission and doctoring it to make that person look really, really bad, and then posting it for wide dissemination. If I did that, to you or to your kid without your permission, that would be bad and should be illegal. And here, there are aggravating circumstances.
All right, last thing on it. Look, again, the James O'Keefe situation would depend state by state what their laws are on whether you can take a picture or a video of someone in public, etc. But I certainly understand that there are videos that you cannot take of people and put online that certainly would be a criminal offense. For example, those stupid upskirt things that they do,
right?
Where they go and take the picture of the girl's panties under their skirt, and they go, "Well, we're in public." No, you can't do that. If that's a criminal offense, that's perfectly understandable. So where is this YouTube video in between, that and just a normal video? I don't know. It's a good question.
You know what, though, Uger? I will give you this. You definitely proved that you are a reasonable man, okay? Because you listened to the evidence. No, he did, though. He came out strong in the beginning, okay? He was a little stubborn, a little resistant to the facts and the details. But then later on, he allowed them to sink in, and you changed your mind a little bit.
Anybody can be beat!
It's not about being beat, man. Well, look, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn it around. I'm with Anna. Okay, I'm gonna take credit for being the most open-minded man in America.
Are we not merciful? All right. So Kate Middleton is getting married soon to Prince William, and Yahoo published this article that I just found fascinating, and it lists all of the different things Kate Middleton will have to give up in order to become a princess. And look, becoming a princess sounds like a lot of fun until you really read into it and you realize all of the things that you get to miss out on. So I'm going to list these things. First of all, Kate will not be allowed to be referred to as Kate anymore. She will officially become Her Royal Highness, the Princess William of Wales, or people must call her Catherine.
Yeah, that's slightly disastrous. Catherine's okay, but that other Princess of Prince or William of Princess, no. Kate's 10 times better.
Her Royal Highness, the Princess William of Wales. Why can't it be Princess Catherine of Wales? I get it. It's because William is the prince, and that's the respectable thing to do. But I would hate for people to call me Princess William of Wales. Anyway, but
well, you're already off to a bad start when you start with the Royal Highness nonsense. So
yeah,
I mean, doesn't sound good.
Okay, so that's not too serious. I mean, I could live with that, right? But number two, I could not live with. Kate will not be allowed to vote, okay? As royalty, you are supposed to show people that you are unbiased, okay? You're not supposed to show people that you have a political preference. So you are not allowed to vote. Or be politically active for that matter.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, not buying it. I mean, it's silly. A constitutional monarchy, la 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 la.
This one I really love. Kate won't be allowed to play Monopoly because it turns out that in 2008, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, mentioned an interesting tidbit about his family. He said that whenever they play Monopoly at home, it gets too vicious. So Kate's not allowed to play Monopoly because the royal family gets a little wild when they play Monopoly.
Look, here's the thing. Back in the days, the royalty of England were badasses, right? They would go and conquer the world. Now they're like, oh my God, you collected taxes when you shouldn't have, and you community service, and oh, you built hotels instead of houses, and smashed the monopoly over each other's head. I don't know, man. I liked it when the royalty was badasses. This kind of tiddlywink stuff, or tiddlywinks being banned, I'm not in favor of it.
Number 7 on this list, which I think is the worst, is the fact that she's not allowed to eat shellfish because shellfish might get her sick. First of all, shellfish is delicious, okay? It's God's gift to humanity. If somebody told me that I can't marry them if I want to continue eating shellfish, I would tell him to
Get!
lobster over my man any day.
Yeah, look, why are they following those rules from 1575? Yeah, I know, shellfish could have been poisonous for you in the past. You know, Red Lobster's got that shit on lockdown, right? They figured it out. You're going to be all right. I mean, why still follow those stupid old rules? This is what drives me crazy about the royalty. I mean, the whole thing is stupid and old, but I know the British get really touchy. But oh, please, a royalty! They're regular human beings. Just go to Red Lobster and calm down.
And final thing, Kate won't be finishing her dinner, okay? It turns out that she is not allowed to continue eating after her grandmother-in-law, the Queen, finishes. So as soon as she finishes, the Queen, she has to stop. She can't continue eating.
Yeah, it turns out when the Queen is done, and you better hope she doesn't eat fast, everybody's done at the table, which I didn't know. First of all, that's kind of badass. If you're the king or the queen, and you're like, oh, I'm done. You're like,
No, oh my God! You know what? I just pictured you in the royal family having to deal with that, Cenk. Like you're about to get your, I don't know, caramel, banana, peanut butter pancakes or something for dessert from IHOP, and the queen decides to finish before you could eat that dessert. How upset would you be?
I'd pull a Kanye West. I'd be like, look, I'm gonna let you finish in a minute. Okay, but first I gotta have this caramel peanut butter banana pancake. Okay, no, seriously, I'd come so prepared. Okay, I'd be like, all right, ready, set, go. Okay, I'm like, oh, you ain't finishing before me. I'm just kidding. Hey, garçon, come on, bring me the next one. Bring me the what's the matter with you? She's almost done.
Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, we got to.
Okay, by the way, that's the other thing about the royalty being like, soft these days, because of course they have to be, and I don't actually want them conquering other lands, of course, right? But like they're supposed to be neutral on everything, not just voting, and they're not supposed to have any opinions. I mean, like, it defeats the whole point of having a king or a queen. Back in the day, when they were real kings and queens, their opinion is the only one that mattered. I mean, that was the law of the land. Now they're so neutered, they're like, I don't have an opinion on anything. Vanilla or chocolate. I mean, what's the point, man? If I'm going to be king, I want to be fucking king. You know what I'm saying?
But they're
like,
wrong.
Yeah, I got an opinion on that. I'm going this way. And you better hurry up. Otherwise, when I'm done, you got to shut... you got to shut your mouth.
I know, but they don't... Of course, everyone knows they don't really do anything, right? They're just symbolic. So I don't care what their political opinions are. If they want to vote, they should vote. I think the sad part of this story is the fact that they've lied to themselves into thinking that they're so important that they have to follow these silly rules. You don't have to follow these rules. No one cares. You're a symbolic aspect of, culture. Just go do whatever you want to do. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares how strong they are, Cenk, or whether or not they've been neutered. Like, they're following these rules that make no sense because they think that they're important and they think that others care. Go have a political opinion. Eat your shellfish.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. The whole thing drives me crazy. They're sitting there following all these ancient rules, and they're like, oh, and I must curtsy you, and I must do this, and I must do that. Dude, just grab a beer and chill the fuck out. I just get rid of the whole thing. It doesn't make any sense. They waste a lot of money on this nonsense. They go through all this formality. I don't know. Maybe it's the American in me. I find it unbearable. Okay, but an interesting, different point on Kate Middleton was made by someone here in New York. They said that Kate Middleton, if you look at her closely enough, actually looks like John Boehner.
What?
Which I thought was a weird, spooky thing, which I didn't believe at all. Until you start looking at him and you're like, huh, a little. You see it, Anna?
I do see it. I think it's the nose. It's the nose and a little bit of the eyes. That low brow line. They both have low brow lines.
And then once I saw Boehner in Middleton, I lost all interest in Middleton. Okay.
I didn't know you had interest.
I was like, no, I was like, I don't have any interest in particular, and she's not my type, but I was like, she's reasonably attractive, obviously. Good for, William, et cetera, et cetera. Then I see Boehner now in her a little bit. I'm like,
yeah, I definitely see it. That's a little disastrous. I feel a little bad for her. But what are you going to do? You got a little Boehner in you. Okay. All right, we got to take a break.
By the way, if we pronounce Boehner's name correctly, come on, they changed it. The reality is, of course, the name, as Jesus points out every time, is Boehner. Your comment would have been much more awesome.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
It's a little disastrous to have a little boner in you.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we have the world's most luxurious toilet and also a real-life looking android. We'll be back with that and more.